Now, the three-time World Wrestling Champion Bray Wyatt has died suddenly at the age of 36.
WWE's approach to honoring deceased wrestlers can be rather selective, and sometimes controversial. There's a pattern of inconsistency in acknowledging the passing of former wrestlers, raising questions among fans about the criteria used for these tributes. Starting off with Jimmy Snuka. Despite his induction into the Hall of Fame and his significant contributions to WWF in its earlier days, his legacy was complicated due to the 2015 charge of third-degree murder related to the death of his girlfriend. WWE Fame page and released him from his Legends contract after his arrest. Vince McMahon's stance on acknowledging the deaths of wrestlers seemed to revolve around now wanting to draw attention to the high number of early deaths in the industry. However, age or cause of death isn't always the determining factor. Politics and backstage incidents can influence whether a wrestler is given an on-air tribute, sometimes resulting in perceived insensitivity from the company. Despite this inconsistency, WWE has showcased touching tributes for several wrestlers, like Dusty Rhodes, Roddy Piper, Owen Hart, Eddie Guerrero, among others, evoking emotional responses from the fans. Nonetheless, it remains disappointing that not every performer who significantly contributed to the company receives even a mention on TV after their passing. This inconsistency in honoring wrestlers extends beyond Snuka, leaving us to question the company's criteria. Chris Kanyon. Now let's shift our focus to an underappreciated talent from the early 2000s. Kanyon certainly deserves a mention. While he might not have been destined to be the company's champion, his innovative style and consistent entertainment value during WCW's Nitro era made a mark, despite WWE's uncertainty about how to utilize his skills. While some top stars coasted through performances for their hefty paychecks, Kanyon consistently delivered his best in the ring. He earned his title as the innovator of offense, frequently showcasing moves that were new to WCW and WWF audiences. His versatility was remarkable, whether portraying the masked monster Mortis or the endearing underdog who famously questioned, "Who better than Kanyon?" The correct answer being, nobody. He displayed a wide range of talent. His personas like Chris Champagne Kanyon and Positively Kanyon added to his repertoire, solidifying him as one of the most engaging mid-carders of his time. Unfortunately, much of his prime coincident with WCW's decline and fan exodus. Following WWE's acquisition in 2001, it appeared that significant opportunities awaited Kanyon. He even captured a US title and participated in a high-profile SummerSlam match, partnering with DDP against Kane and The Undertaker. However, an injury sidelined him for an extended period. His return was marred by a near-fatal allergic reaction to medication during recovery. Upon his comeback, he was reintroduced as a Boy George impersonator on SmackDown, swiftly squashed by The Undertaker. This marked the beginning of a downward trajectory, as he was frequently used as a jobber on lesser-known shows until his release. Kanyon's decade-long presence in WCW and WWE deserved recognition, but his troubled claim of being fired due to his sexual orientation and his tragic death at 40 seemed to overshadow his contributions in the eyes of the WWE. Next on our list is Ludwig Borga. Ludwig Borga's stint in WWF was short, but marked by a significant push as an anti-American foreign heel, a character often favored by Vince McMahon. He had notable victories against Marty Jannetty and ended Tatanka's winning streak, earning a future spot in Survivor Series as part of the Foreign Fanatics. However, an unfortunate ankle injury halted his momentum, leading to his departure and the cancellation of a planned WrestleMania match against Earthquake. Beyond wrestling, Borga had diverse accomplishments, including writing books, releasing a successful album, and serving in Parliament. Yet he was surrounded by controversy and faced personal troubles in his final years. Following his passing due to suicide in early 2010, even respected commentator Jim Ross expressed negative sentiments about Borga, citing his troublesome behavior and an unlikable presence backstage. Despite the mixed legacy and personal issues, acknowledging his multi-talented contributions with a brief photo tribute on TV might have been a thoughtful gesture. Moving on to Chris Candido. Despite the backstage issues that may have deterred WWE from acknowledging Ludwig Borga, the lack of recognition for Chris Candido seems perplexing, considering his positive reception among fans. Arriving in WWF as Body Donna Skip in '95, Chris Candido made his mark, notably contributing to the memorable storyline involving Barry Horowitz's triumph over a more established talent. As part of the Body Donnas with his partner Zip, Candido remained a fixture on television for over a year, even securing the tag titles. Additionally, his wife Sunny, their manager, became a highly popular figure in the company during that time. After departing WWF in '96, Candido found success in ECW, WCW, and eventually joined TNA in 2005. There, his manager role with the Naturals showcased his enthusiasm. Tragically, a severe injury during a match resulted in a broken leg that led to a fatal blood clot. It was released that a 33-year-old died due to a blood clot, a complication from surgery. TNA paid tribute to Candido, airing a graphic on TV to mourn his sudden death. They even organized a memorial tag tournament in his honor later that year. Surprisingly, WWE chose not to acknowledge his passing in any way. Now let's discuss Lance Cade, a wrestler with the potential for main event status. But despite his notable presence on WWE TV for several years, the company's silence about his passing shortly after his departure felt insensitive. Politics seemed to have played a role, but not of the backstage variety. During the time when Linda McMahon was amidst the financially challenging Senate bid, Lance Cade tragically passed away. Linda McMahon, looking to distance herself from the company's controversies, offered a detached response when asked by a reporter if she knew Cade, stating, "I may have met him once." This response was perceived as cold, especially as no condolences to the family were included, despite Cade's father asserting that McMahon had met his son multiple times. Cade's journey with the WWE began in 2001, initially spending developmental years before moving to the main roster and securing the tag titles with Trevor Murdoch. He was part of significant storylines, including involvement with the Reformed DX and becoming Chris Jericho's protege in the feud against Shawn Michaels, indicating a promising career trajectory. However, Cade faced personal struggles with addiction, leading to issues and his eventual release after a seizure on an airplane linked to drug problems. Despite a brief return, he faced another release before his passing at the age of 29 in 2010. WWE's acknowledgement of Cade's passing was minimal, merely covered in a short news piece on WWE.com, providing a stark contrast to the significant contributions he made during his tenure with the company. Doink the Clown. The original Doink, portrayed by Matt Osborne, was arguably the most iconic rendition of the evil clown character in WWE's history. Osborne found tremendous success as Doink, a stark contrast to his earlier less memorable stint as Big Josh in WCW, where he portrayed a lumberjack with a dancing bear. Doink emerged during WWE's peculiar phase in the mid-90s, characterized by numerous outlandish characters. Amidst this landscape, Doink stood out as a gimmick that surprisingly resonated with fans. He engaged in significant feuds with wrestlers like Crush, Jerry Lawler, Bret Hart, and Tatanka, showcasing the character's versatility. Unfortunately, due to drug issues, Osborne was released from WWE, and the role of Doink was passed to Ray Apollo, who struggled to capture the essence of the character as effectively as Osborne had. Although Osborne made sporadic appearances as Doink in WWE over the years, his passing in 2013, attributed to an accidental overdose and a history of heart disease, went unacknowledged on TV. This omission was almost like a cruel joke, leaving fans wondering why the company failed to pay tribute to a character that remains etched in our memories as one of the most entertaining of its time. Big Daddy V. The absence of acknowledgement for Nelson Frazier's passing on WWE TV felt peculiar, given the multiple returns and gimmicks he underwent, indicating a level of favor from the boss. Debuting in '93, Frazier was transformed into the character Mabel, a larger-than-life figure who enjoyed dancing and rapping. McMahon envisioned main event potential in him, even granting him the honor of winning the '95 King of the Ring. Despite this achievement, he failed as a top villain, leading to his release in '96. However, during the Attitude Era, he returned as Viscera, donning a trench coat as a member of the Ministry, extending his tenure with the company for a few more years. After being let go in 2000, Frazier made a comeback in 2004, mainly as a comedic character, the world's largest love machine. His rebranding as Big Daddy V in ECW attempted to create an unstoppable force, but didn't resonate with fans, possibly due to his prior comedic roles. Despite multiple pushes and various characters, WWE released him again in 2008, after which he pursued opportunities on the indies until his passing in 2014 at 43 years old. Despite numerous appearances on TV, multiple gimmicks, and significant pushes throughout his career, he didn't receive the farewell or recognition that many felt he deserved. Nancy Benoit. Nancy Benoit's legacy in pro wrestling, despite her years in WCW and ECW, is predominantly overshadowed by the tragic circumstances of her murder by her husband, Chris Benoit, one of the most shocking scandals in the company's history. In the mid-80s, Nancy married longtime veteran Kevin Sullivan and often accompanied him to ringside. Her wrestling career took off in '89 when she joined WCW as the manager of Doom under the moniker Woman. Later, she transitioned to a valet role for the Four Horsemen. In ECW, she managed her husband Chris Benoit and the Sandman, even participating in a Singapore cane match during that time. Upon returning to WCW, Nancy crossed paths with Benoit, with whom her husband Kevin Sullivan was feuding on screen. In a controversial storyline, Nancy's character was portrayed as having an affair with Chris. Kevin, who held a booking position in the promotion, instructed Nancy to travel with Chris to advance the storyline. However, this led to Nancy and Chris falling in love, resulting in their marriage and Nancy retiring from the wrestling business. The tragic turn of events occurred on June 25, 2007, when Nancy and her son Daniel were found murdered in their Atlanta home. WWE initially ran a tribute show for Chris before the full details emerged. Upon learning the truth, WWE publicly apologized and vowed never to mention him again, effectively erasing him from their history, which unfortunately extended to Nancy as well. Check Tunney. He led a relatively full life compared to others mentioned here. He served as a fictional president of the WWF for over a decade. Despite not appearing frequently on TV, his on-screen presence signals significant moments in storylines. He notably played roles like suspending Andre the Giant and stripping the $1 Million Man of the WWF title. When Gorilla Monsoon took over the on-screen presidency, Tunney had already made his mark. Yet upon his departure from the company in '95, he vanished from WWE programming entirely. Surprisingly, he didn't receive a Hall of Fame induction, and upon his passing in 2004, WWE remained silent. No representatives from the company attended his funeral, hinting at potential issues between him and WWE. Speculation emerged, alleging financial discrepancies during Tunney's tenure in charge of the Toronto office, or that his departure might have been a cost-cutting measure. It seems any potential grievances could have been resolved over time, yet WWE chose not to acknowledge his contributions or even mention his name after he passed. Umaga. Finally, we'll discuss Edward Fatu, also known as Umaga. He was featured in one of the biggest matches of WrestleMania 23, but his passing didn't even get 23 seconds of screen time. It's mind-boggling when you consider the impact Umaga had on the wrestling world, especially in such a monumental event like WrestleMania. So why did WWE choose to remain silent about his passing? Most of the wrestlers on this list had been away from WWE in a full-time capacity for some time when they died, but in Umaga's case, it was less than 6 months after he was released from the company that he tragically passed away. You would think they would acknowledge it on air, right? Shockingly, Umaga only made it onto their website. It was absurd. Umaga was a main eventer who battled most of the top stars. He went toe-to-toe with John Cena in a last man standing match at Royal Rumble 2007 and took on Batista at WrestleMania 24. The fans wanted answers. They wanted closure, but WWE did not address his death. The silence left many outraged, and the lack of transparency only fueled the controversy. But hey, the world of wrestling is full of twists and turns, and our journey doesn't end here. From miraculous recoveries to close calls, check out this video where WWE wrestlers face near-death experiences in the heat of action. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation going.